Today, on The Terrible Warriors, we return to our game of Dear Great Cthulhu, please stop giving me superpowers. In the next hour, we'll go from having no characters at all, or a setting, or a plot, to becoming embroiled in a small community, holding back the tides of change that threaten their safety and their security. And also a growing void of destruction that must be fed every day, or else the entire world as we know it would be swallowed up into its maw, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the table with Velvet Duke, Euan, and myself, Justin Ecock, as we present our character concepts and roll the dice to find out what superpowers the Old Ones will be bestowing upon us this day.
So, in reverse order, we'll start with me. With the support, I went with Harlow. I don't know what Harlow's last name will be, but let's go with Harlow for now. We can find out if they have the surname might come important because my family is going to be important. Tired eyes and work clothes. If you all been to Toronto in Kensington Market, there's this really big fruit store on like a corner. It's kind of open most of the day. Like 2 people work there, and everyone, it's the freshest fruit you can get. It's like fruit and vegetables. So what commitments hold you back? You're supposed to circle family, work, religious community, another marginalized community, or my health. I actually circled family and work. This is the family vegetable fruit stall in this pedestrian market, in like a Kensington Market kind of place. And so, yes, I'm a herald, but also I got to look after this store because of my ailing parents. And they live upstairs. And if this thing goes down and we don't pay the rent, they're out on the street because they've been living in this place since forever. And so the rent that they're paying is really, really low. And as long as the business keeps bringing in a profit, the landlord isn't going to raise the rates up. So we have to keep this thing going, but they're too old to be there. And so a key relationship is a coworker. I've got someone who's always there to like look after the store, especially recently as I've been less able to constantly be there for shipments and deliveries and dealing with all the management that goes around with that. And also trying to, you got to clean it up because you're dealing with produce that it's going to have to be tossed really at the end of almost every day, and dealing with the dumpster divers that are coming by to get the food, and people that are saying you should be donating all this stuff to the homeless camp down the street, but I'm still a business owner and I got to be able to make if I'm just giving away all of my stuff, and all these debates that go on, and my parents that are living upstairs. That's my life. And then I became a herald. So Harlow's exhausted in that way. There's not enough money to hire more people and pay them properly. In fact, even this coworker is taking much less than they should be because they're essentially working as a manager and they're making just maybe minimum wage, but all the profit margins are so razor thin. Nothing is working out. Everything is bad. Capitalism is evil. And yeah, we're so stuck in this monster. Harlow's trying their best, but also they need to be able to keep this herald thing from absolutely destroying their lives, because if this store can't continue to function, their parents aren't going to be able to look after themselves. So what do these commitments empower me with? They empower me with resources. They empower me with a place to live, shelter. They empower me with food from the store itself, from the income that comes from that, as well as being like a local business owner. You have connections to those other kinds of resources of being like part of a BIA and having that kind of like local grassroots organization. The other people look out for each other, especially in a small market like this, because raising tide lifts all ships kind of an idea. But as my commitments continue to pull me away from the store and away from the community, like this whole thing is like, these are 2 trains coming at each other and they're going to collide. And there's no way that both of these things can coexist anymore. And the old ones are not going to stop giving me superpowers. So this feels doomed right from the start. That's Harlow. We'll come back to me when I meet the other 2 characters in our community. But I will ask you, I have 2 questions. Who have I inadvertently hurt by placing my commitment over helping them? Or who have I used my commitments to help? I think I might pick the first one. So consider this. Which one of you have I inadvertently hurt by placing my commitment over the shop over helping you? And maybe it was exactly that dumpster diving thing. Maybe one of you is broke and hungry, and it's like, I can't just give you a free pineapple.
I've definitely heard about. I've definitely seen the whole interactions between shop owners and like people who are giving out food. So I don't know. Is that more of an organizer thing, do you think, Velvet, or is that?
We'll see. I mean, and that might not be how I hurt. That was just a prompt that I suggested. But the question that I asked the group, and then you can answer to me how I hurt you, right? Like, I'm not telling you how I hurt you. You're telling me how I hurt you. So that is our support. Nerd, let me know you.
All right. I actually chose one of the pre-packaged names. I went with Xavier, because that's a great name, fun name. I went with Wide Eyes because, that's the personality I'm going for. We're going very classic. We're going with the classic autistic over-explainer. That's what we're doing today. Today, that is the look. That is
just
the moment.
Today, just for one night only.
Only today, never any other time in my life. Just
limited engagement.
I don't frame it as over-explaining, as enthusiastically sharing.
You want to get the detail and the context correct, so that they understand the intention, so that they know why they should be as excited about it.
The why, the how, the where, the when, and the what.
It's ESP almost, because I'm going academic chic, because I'm going with something like an adjunct, a master's student who's a little in debt. We're not going to talk about how much, a little in debt with that good old OSAP master's degree money.
It doesn't matter. You're a herald. You'll be dead in 10 years. You won't have to pay it off.
Well, yeah, that is kind of the vibe, unfortunately. There's also the question of what do you know? And we've chosen to.
What did you choose?
I've been in master's level history courses before, and so much of it is about talking about what people have been talking about the thing. Historiography is one of the main things you learn. It's less about what actually happened and more about, well, how did people react to what happened 20 years out, 50 years out, so on. So I love the why different people think the great old ones are here, and also what the general public thinks about heralds. Okay. I love the idea of someone who is sort of in a sociology, maybe in a poli-sci, maybe in a history field, who is mostly talking about reactions to heralds and ends up talking around himself a bit, because the idea of unknowable things is very appealing to me. Here the unknowable is more neutral. It's up to the players what they do with unknowability. For me, I love unknowability and undefinability, and I love tracking conversations around it.
It's kind of in the same like quantum theory, multiple universes. Like now we do have ancient alien beings, but are they from another dimension? Are they from another timeline? Are they just part of the like creation? Do they exist? Are they all part of a collective psychic consciousness that is infecting like a pandemic through our minds, causing these mutations?
Are we them or are they we?
Are they a future us rippling through time and causality, setting in motion a closed loop to bring us into an ascended form?
Do we see them because they are there, or are they there because we see them? Which is my favorite thing. Berger and Luckman, social construction of reality. Ayo.
And when you're an ant on a highway looking at the tire coming at you, does any of those answers matter?
To me, very much. To my character, more so. Really.
Splat.
Splat. So my key relationship, I've already foreshadowed this, is a professor. And I don't want to over-determine this, but the idea of a professor who I'm TAing for, to be slightly cynical, maybe not the most... I imagine this professor as someone who is not a herald, but who maybe has a certain stake in...
Herald Otaku. Herald
Otaku.
Stan.
And also, heralds may be negatively viewed by a lot of
Also, this is going to get them their paper. This is going to win them the Nobel.
Yeah.
There's going to be...
Because everyone wants to study the heralds. They don't really want to be there.
Hey, that's kind of like a lot of different groups that are appropriated.
Did I do that on purpose? I don't know. Maybe that was... I don't know.
That's so weird. That'd be so tragic if that ever happened.
That would be tragic if it happened in real life.
Outside the confines of this game. Oh, this fictional science fiction fantasy.
So the idea of them mining their autistic, Herald, research assistant for little fun stories to mention at conferences and sort of the extractive research.
How many times has this professor quoted you without citing you in their papers?
Well, it's not
as their own ideas.
It's not twice. It's more than twice. But also potentially.
Did they just take your dissertation and then just put their name on it?
Not quite that bad, but there's much smarter ways to do that without it being so obvious. Hey, could you do a annotated bibliography for me, knowing I'm going to overwrite it and knowing I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in there that you can just kind of graze on? And also that leads to potential conflict because I don't know what your organizer is going to be like, but this might be a concern for the organizer who is worried about too much information flowing out of their community and into the hands of this academic through me.
Yeah, you're like a mole in our group, like you're the leak. You're just going to keep doxing us through your...
I think this actually happens. I think
some people are very functional. Like one of the members in my group runs a fruit store down in the market.
What? Let me give you the address.
No, why am I part of your research? I don't have time for this. I have to pay my rent.
And this desire to be frank and open and this uncomfortableness with honesty, and I'm not doing autism. I promise. We're not doing another autistic character. I would never mine my autism life experiences for content. That would be so weird of me. I think
as you'll note in my last show, section 23, paragraph 2, subset 3.
I would like the court to see Exhibit B. So which question would you like to ask the group?
Yeah, I was going to do the beneficial one, but I think after all of the backstory I've given, I have to go with who have I made uncomfortable with my knowledge, or who have I potentially even... this is slightly twisting it, but I think it's appropriate. Who have I potentially endangered or compromised with my knowledge or with my academicizing?
I mean, like that would make me feel uncomfortable if you put my privacy, my danger, like my safety, my security at risk. My, especially my privacy. If we had a masked character here, which we don't. I'm not playing a masked character. That's the thing, is my support character is very much like they're still running a business. But they're running a business in a small, like Kensington Market has always like been like this like strange, like immigrant bohemian kind of place that already had a bit of an outsider feel. I mean, at least until the 90s before things got a little more gentrified. But he's not a mask, so I can't play him like that, and I shouldn't play him that. But he has the benefit of those resources, and he does have a lot to lose because he's got a lot at stake that he's trying to keep from drowning. And if something that you did put that at risk, it would make him feel very uncomfortable.
And you can see how one playbook, even when we're just making these stories, one playbook can sort of bleed into another, because while I'm doing the nerd, I have now almost subconsciously included some elements of the newbie. Not too many, but they're all related experiences.
So I wonder, who have I made uncomfortable with my knowledge? If that related to like what the general public thinks about Heralds. You keep coming. I'm trying to run a business here, and you keep coming into the group, and you keep telling me about how the general public thinks about the Heralds, and that isn't good business. When
Xavier has put you on the map of where the Heralds are working, so people are coming in to gawk at you, not to buy.
Support Herald-run businesses, guys, and then they come in and they buy gum, and they're like, "So why are you like that?"
Like that. All of that.
We haven't rolled the superpower yet. We don't know what I'm like yet. Like, I'm still running a food stall. Maybe it's made it a little bit easier because I now have 13 tentacle limbs that I can throw bananas into packages real quickly. Hopefully it's not something that causes fungus, because then I'd be there's a whole section of just fungal powers, which would be very bad with food produce.
I am excited to see what power I end up with. I am thinking of Xavier as I don't know if this is a term. Maybe it is a term in our universe, a forever herald. The idea of someone who's like kind of never not been in that region might make him a little insensitive to people with more issues with visibility. Mm-hmm. Like, I am someone who's always looked a little swishy. Yeah. So I sometimes have to be a little more careful and sensitive.
What do you mean you're uncomfortable becoming a research subject in a paper from a professor? Why wouldn't you want to be part of a study to help learn more about what make Heralds different and weird?
My dad signed me up for studies when I was 5, and I turned out great.
I begged him to make me.
I love it. There's this whole paper about how he brought in a baby monkey, and I was a baby in the room, and I started mimicking the monkey's behavior, and everyone kind of freaked out for some reason.
I loved the attention, and it definitely
there was no lasting cognitive development problems that happened later in life.
Why isn't your trauma the exact same as mine?
And let me give you a paper on how you can make it exactly the same.
Yep.
I wrote, here's my first paper that I wrote in year 1. Why trauma isn't that bad. What?
Trauma is chosen family by another name.
Making yourself perfectly legible to normal society is the best way to feel good about yourself. It worked really well for me.
Oh, God.
In this TED Talk, in my essay, I will.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Well, all right. Last but not least, we need our linchpin here. We need to know the organizer of our community.
So, as per usual, Justin, there's alignment between some of our things, but also, not. So,
Yep.
So I kind of went with the script that they have in front, and of course, I can't go with the script that they have in front. So, I am the organizer. I am Olivienne. I have jaded eyes, and I look thrown together. What's pushing me forward is ambition for hope. So I also took 2 there. The idea of proving that it can be, that this can be. What's holding me back is pride. It can be, but not for me. My key relation.
This is planting the oak tree that the next generation will benefit from.
Yeah.
We're not going to see the fruits of our labor, but hopefully the next group will.
Well, for me, it's that everybody around me, everybody who comes into my space, I'm going to make it true for them. It's too late.
You're going to light yourself on fire to keep them warm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, how much of this is real life? In terms of the key relationship, when I say that, it's like we're kind of aligned, is I had chosen the local business owner as the key relationship.
Oh, so that's how I get to know you.
Yeah, and so to answer your question,
are we part of like a Herald street of like?
So I am like the BIA annual event organizer, specifically around food equity.
I'm not giving you my free food.
How I heard? That's every single day. Every time I come around.
I have parents upstairs. I got rent to be paid. I got this landlord who's looking for any excuse to kick the Herald-owned business out and turn this into a boutique hotel and sell the land for a condo. And I can't risk that. I can donate to the cause. Look, here's $100. Go buy some bagels.
The other side of my reality is that I was a foodie equity banker.
Oh my God.
Has now seen, I've turned to food equity as like, this is my calling. So that idea of who's the owner of the building?
How many years have we been doing this, Velvet, where we end up making characters and it's just like, we are, like, you have convinced me of the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
Like, we are through some energy.
Yes. Yeah. So as you're talking, I'm like, the landlord or the owner of the building who keeps coming over and saying, maybe you could sell now. Like,
yeah, and I'm feeling now. You're making me feel like I'm Scrooge at the beginning of Christmas Carol, being like, "Are there no poorhouses? Are there no prisons to hold them?" And like, I was like, and I'm not that. I'm just like, I can't. If I give this away, I have inventory I have ledgers, I have auditors, I can't.
Your fear is the boutique hotel for the rich, as opposed to the boutique hotel to feed people without feed everybody.
Charles down the street ran the clothing store is already gone out of business and got shuttered and maybe even firebombed in the night by protesters. We got vandals coming around now because of this professor that wrote a paper all about our businesses. And I'm dealing. I have to pay extra money for security and for lights and cameras and putting bars on the windows so that no one climbs in and assaults my parents while they're sleeping. And now you're asking, look, I can give you some of these day olds. They're going into the trash, but they're technically still good to eat. I'll put them in the green bin and you just roll them down I won't ask about it.
So that's today, but tomorrow. Yes. So food miser is what I've written.
Olivia.
And then, so in terms of the ask, choose one thing to ask the group. Who is my confidant? Who listens to my problems? And I'm feeling
I don't think it should be me.
Feeling Xavier, but that will bite me.
But the two of us, like Velvet, Olivian and Harlow, is the enemies to lovers trope. That's going to be written like it's happening, but we're not. I can't be your confidant right now. I don't have time. I don't have time for all of this.
Another one.
It sure would suck if things that you vent to me end up in some sort of extractive paper.
That get published
Table 2 through 100.
Nature.
You accidentally hear someone's trauma and then you're like, oh my God, everything makes sense. All of this concept makes sense. And then you say it out loud somewhere else and you're like, oh, well, I didn't say names. You didn't have to. You didn't have to say names. It was bad enough already.
I anonymized it. I anonymized the information.
It's like slightly blurred.
Yeah. Of these three people, and I'm one of them, who could this be about? I don't know.
You know what? Even then, at least Xavier listens to you.
Yes.
Like, on top of that, yes, you know that they're also like tattling on everything you're saying, but it's also nice. They can give you the time. And it's not constantly a debate. Xavier doesn't debate you.
I don't really. I'm just kind of
data.
Tell me more. Just write it all down. Let me write it all down. How does that make you feel?
And it's not even conscious. It's really just like, I need to understand every Herald's experience. I need to know everything about it. The more I hear, the better I am. There's no weird desire. It's just, I think I can trust my professor to be professional.
Yeah.
Someone who helps me and is going to get me a job would never hurt me. Never.
Building your community. Oh, we have not finished creating our characters. We have to roll our superpowers, and then we will build our community. Are you ready for the first dice roll?
Let's do it.
All right, you're going to roll 2d6s 5 times, and then just give me the numbers done like where the 1 6 is the tens column and the other 6 is the ones column. So you'll just give me like a list of 5 numbers and just say like, 12, 32, 41, 44, like let me know what that are. I'll write them down and then I will read out the verb, adjective, noun, body part, and complication that your power is. We'll do it all in one go.
Euan, do you want to go first?
Euan, you've been in the middle, so let's throw you at the beginning of the line this time.
Here's a clicky clack. There you go. All right. So that's 23 first. 12. I should get a thing. 21. I'm getting a lot of ones and twos. 61. That is 4 numbers.
And the final number.
22.
22. Okay.
Number of ones and twos. Okay.
So your power, your first one, is you throw shocking fire from your stomach at nighttime.
Flex.
I mean, so how do you throw shocking fire from your stomach? Does it come from your stomach, or do you throw it up?
I think is it
generating in your stomach and you just keep like vomiting electrified fire, like like those Icelandic volcanoes where the heat is static so charged it's also like lightning storms coming out of you, but only at nighttime. So it's fine. It's only at nighttime. During the daytime, you can do all your interviews.
I definitely do see a thing where it's like it's this kind of thing that is building up during the day. So it's not that it's not there. It's just here. There's some slight I know I could have been a mask with this, but I'm not. So this is a very visible thing. I start off the morning looking regular and fine.
Oh, and your
then
stomach just balloons.
It's just big. It's really there.
And it's roiling and it's bubbling. It might even be glowing.
Yep. If you touch it, your hair's going to stand up on end.
And everything's static. People's phones wipe out as you're going past them because it's building like this like EMP charge.
And at night, I've got to...
You have to go to the top of a building and just shoot up into the sky. And at nighttime, it's like fireworks.
Like the Care Bear stare.
Storming around you.
Yeah.
You're just like,
and if I want
to sleep all night, just
And which is lovely on nights when I don't need to sleep. But if I got to wake up, I need my CPAP machine. I mean,
You have, well, actually, maybe there's a member in the community that's working on a shocking fireproof CPAP machine that you can wear while throwing all this fire out while you sleep. Because you're melting through them all.
I'm the only student not pulling all-nighters, because if I were, what would I do? But see, that's actually... See, again, we've got real life parallels, because how do I manage when I can't just pull an all-nighter like a lot of people do? Also,
you're pulling a student whose powers only really mess you up, truly mess you up at nighttime.
Which is a critical time for students who are constantly overpressured and being pushed to shove all of their workload into times of day when people don't need them. And all right, this is interesting.
All right, so write that down in your playbook. You throw shocking fire from your stomach only at nighttime. 62, 13, 65, 53, and a 12. For Harlow, my first power. Repair loud vacuum from my flowers, and I must eat a specific food for it to work. So repair, that's a really interesting verb. So the adjective is loud, the noun is a vacuum. So the power is a loud vacuum that manifests from my flowers, which I have. And I must eat a specific food for it to activate. This is why I can't donate food to you, Velvet, because on top of having to also sell it, I also have to eat it so that I can continue to... What do you think repair loud vacuum would mean? Does it mean that my flowers can repair things, or are my flowers sucking up?
In this case, vacuum, I think, is meaning more in the sense of a vacuum, a lack of space, a lack of matter in space. Some sort of hole, some sort of void.
And I was, to add to that, I was thinking more like the community hole. So you talked about that shop down the road having closed down. It's like you are trying to repair the community and you're blasting out this energy.
But it's so loud.
So loud.
Or could there be a repair? My power is repairing a loud vacuum that is growing. And I have to continue to repair it.
The sucking hole.
Or like the store down the street actually didn't shut down. It shuttered because it's keeping in check a growing void that only my flowers can keep from growing. And I have to pollinate the void. I have to pollinate the void to keep it from growing and consuming the whole town. And I have to do that by eating celery and green vegetables.
This could be a really worrying metaphor for something, but I don't think it resembles anything.
How does that make sense? Because I was immediately thinking that these powers would manifest from my body, but that's not how the old ones operate. There's no rule saying that this power is connected to me. Only my flowers can keep them in check, and they continue to bloom and grow over me. I just have flowers, like I imagine, not like like Mediterranean style vines that have little colorful reds and pink flowers that are growing around me, and then I have to keep them in bloom by eating the right vitamins and irons and stuff from the food in my shop. And I've got this like smoothie that I need to make every day from this various stuff that I've figured out, thankfully through the nerd's help.
How to monetize
and I have to drink it down to keep my flowers so that they can continue to give whatever aura or pollination that they do that is stopping this ball of vacuum.
You're on the void
from
repair
growing
diet.
In my next door building, that if it burst out into the street would eat everybody.
Yeah. The void repair diet.
Just like it ate Charles and his clothing shop.
That's right.
Oh my God. Charles went into the vacuum.
He came for the ties, but I don't wear ties, so I didn't do anything.
We got to tie this one down.
We've got some very destructive ones already.
Yeah, okay. Hey, maybe this helps though, because you can just at nighttime sit underneath the vacuum and just shoot your fire into it. It's just a nice black hole
I assume
to
we're
absorb
gonna be
your power.
nearby, right? I've just got a couple asbestos-lined tubes that I hook up near my bed. Shove it on in there, and you just blow it right out into the void down there.
Yeah, nothing burns down.
Yeah. When I was a kid, that just shoved me in a pit, and it was fine.
This must drive you insane, organizer, that I am taking food that should be used to feed the houseless, and I'm literally throwing it into a black hole.
Yeah.
Just to keep my business afloat.
We need to keep the black hole going.
There's no deeper message to this at all.
There's no deeper message. Don't think too hard about it.
Okay. Let me write this onto my character sheet because I think we figured it out. All right. So there's the black hole next door that can only be quelled by me eating a veggie slurry and keeping my flowers in bloom.
This gilly juice.
It also now means like I can't be a mask. I'm covered in vines and flowers. I'm the vegetable flower marker. Like
You are the flower fruit market.
People keep trying to pluck flowers off of me, and the store going, no, smack
Can I
them
get
off.
a dozen of
not
you?
for sale. Not for sale. This is not a flower shop. This is a vegetable shop. And I do not grow cucumbers.
Are the flowers in front your children?
Now, the thing is, this is a loud vacuum. I'm repairing this. Next door, it is just this sound of swirling all the time. And it's just, it's a vacuum, but it's as much of a vortex. It's just this swirling, dark, growing maw that is loud all the time. And it's keeping me up. And I'm already too tired. Okay, repair a loud vacuum.
Ever had
flowers.
your building resurfaced? It's like that. That's what it's. That's just what it is. This is just city life now.
Veggie slurry. It's not even like the good veggies. It's like the stems on the cilantro. Like it's good.
Well, it has to have the right herbal components to appease the this and that.
Are you sure we couldn't just like maybe throw in a little bit banana, a little bit of strawberry to help like take the edge off?
Aestheticism is part of the ritual.
Oh, it's just the textures. It's all bad. It's all just bad.
Oh yeah, I hate texture.
That's why it's a smoothie.
Why? But why is it so chewy if it's a smoothie? It's like
That's the aloe.
crunchy. Why is it crunch? There's so many seeds in it.
The caraway seeds get stuck in the aloe, so you get these little gristly bites almost.
I'm having to buy such exotic things for what was just my like veggie market.
You mean you don't
having to
have
get like
sumac?
have celery.
You don't have sumac? This is Toronto. People expect things.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We need one more power from Velvet.
let's see. 34. 64. 22. 11. And 11 again. I'll re-roll.
No, you don't have to. It's a different chart.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all different. So like the 11 on the body part will be different from the 11 on the complications.
Yeah.
So control spicy plants.
Themes.
You control spicy plants from your hands. However, you can produce it, but you cannot control it.
So I control them, but I can't control them.
You control spicy plants from your hands.
Yeah, but I can't say
But you
how
can't
far
stop
they bloom
them
or
from
whatever.
growing.
Yes.
They continue to produce like really fast growing
Yes.
nails
Yeah.
all the time from your hands. They're just always coming out of you.
Yes.
But how does it mean that you can control them? Can you control their spiciness? Get a really hot one or a mild one?
The Scoville scale. Is that the right scale?
Or are you actually able to control them like they can move around like your little toy soldiers?
So
little spicy.
Because I'm the organizer, I feel like I have the control to use them as appendages, as like, oh, I need a new pen, and it goes out.
So you got like these vines, these spicy plant vines that are coming out of your hands that you can move like Doc Octopus.
Yep.
But they keep growing, so you have to prune them on a regular basis because they just keep. You wake up in the morning and you're just like entwined in vine, and so every day you have to like cut back like that creeping vine in Atlanta that's like slowly like choking all of Georgia, and every day they have to cut them back from the highway. Have you heard about this, Euan?
Yes, I think I saw. Or like could do in other places.
So what makes them spicy? Because
I do.
They're just growing peppers off of them.
So I do believe this is part of where you and I had conflict, because you literally have a place to sell things, but you won't take it off me. Like literally take these off my hand.
I'm not going to sell your weird hand plants.
Regulations.
I don't even think these are like.
Are they GMO? Are they GMO?
They're not a plant of this world, Olivia. No one on earth has ever seen this before. And anytime you get it close to your eyes, it's like putting chili powder into your face. Like the leaves, the vines themselves. Like, yes, they go around and you can use them to grab like appendages, but also if they rub against skin and they rub against your eyes, it's like rubbing after you've been like chopping jalapenos and you get them into your fingers and you rub your all the time. And it's all over my stuff, and people have food intolerances. Is now all my veggies in my store are covered in like chili powder because your vines are rubbing up against them whenever you walk around, because you're like cloaked in this stuff every day.
Hopefully, as an organizer, you have some milk on hand, right? I mean, geez.
I'm lactose intolerant. I'm sorry.
You're just a walking pepper spray attack everywhere you go.
So yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness! If we had like a noob, I feel like the noob in this group would be like, what if we got like a coffee grinder and we took it up to your hand plants, and then we could like confetti your spicy plants into the cops that are trying to stop us at the march, and we'd reverse pepper spray them with your spicy plant hands, and we turn it into like a snow machine, right? Like a t-shirt launcher. And everyone was like, no, that's bad. That's assault, noob. You can't. That's just attacking people.
All be in jail immediately. Immediately in jail. Not good.
So this is also I need you out of my store because you're constantly dropping spicy residue
everywhere. Yeah,
and spicy takes,
and it just keeps growing. And there, your confidant that you're talking to, you're more than happy to prune back the leaves every day, and you might keep some samples and take them back later.
It's for science. It's for science.
Oh my God, hold on. I have to eat a specific food every day in order to keep my power in check so that I keep the loud vacuum from repairing.
Yeah.
this slurry is something that the nerd made up for me, and I've been complaining about the taste and the texture. What if I
inadvertently,
been
unknowingly
eating spicy plant? What if that's actually, it's not just the stuff that's like the sumac in my store, but also a plant not of this world is the secret ingredient, and you've actually just been throwing all this bitter stuff in to mask the fact that it's a really spicy plant coming from Olivian's hands that
It's
you're pruning
recycling.
every night and then putting into like my tea
Circle of life.
that I have in the morning.
Circle of life.
And it proves that the old ones have a plan because our powers are so synergized.
Are they? Not from our everyday life, but now they are. Maybe when you grind it, I've decided that it is reminiscent of iridescent purple glitter.
Oh, glitter plants.
Glitter plants. So yeah, chilly, but also cool.
Wow, I hate glitter so much. That's not exciting for me at all. Purple glitter? No.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow,
goodness.
I love the glitter. How long did it take to apply?
Are you
just
okay
shook.
with that, Olivian? If your plants are like the secret ingredient in my veggie slurry that I need to drink every day to
As
keep
you
my
said,
flowers in bloom?
in terms of that unconscious collective, I believe like it just makes sense that is a connection point, especially if it's a secret one that you don't know is neither of us necessarily know is true.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Or maybe it could be that I didn't know at first and I know now, but at this point I'm in too deep. I can't stop taking it or the vacuum will grow and swallow my everything.
Is it possible that when we're talking about the free food for the unhoused, that this is kind of like the payment? It's like, yeah, put it in the bucket, but also like, don't come into my store. You put yours in this blue bin. Take the stuff from the green bin. Don't mix the two.
We're almost done this episode. We
It's
need
like
to build our
take a penny,
community
give a
now. We're
penny.
very close. Now we've figured out
build
this.
the community, yeah.
So after you've created your characters, work together to create your community. Circle a few of the options below and use them to guide how you talk with your community, your support group, where you meet, what your landmarks are, and discuss the conflicts that happen with your. I think we're already halfway there.
Yeah.
Things you may be working to address, work around, or engage with. So 3 touchstones about your community. We circle these touchstones. Church basement, favorite restaurant, a family business, the park, a school, internet forums, public library, nightclub, Heralds only speakeasy, local celebrity, or a local politician. I feel like the store
Is
Yeah.
one.
you're all like Xavier's living next door in what did I say? Roger? What was the clothing store?
Charles.
Charles is living at Xavier is living in Charles
used to be a family
is now
business.
Xavier.
Yeah.
It used to be one of those family businesses where you got the store and then the family
Yeah, I
apartment.
didn't intend to
Charles
do
left.
Charles Xavier, but like here we are.
God.
As it turns out. Yeah.
that was pure
Listen, I got cheap rent because
serendipity.
no one wants to live over this void.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm
you're
fine with
living
it.
there.
The rattling, that's fine. That's
And
normal.
we've already got
noise.
Olivian in the community trying to get my food. So the food store itself, the fruit market, is one of our touchstones. Like you're all, I can't come to you. You all keep coming to me.
I will just bother you at your store.
And it could then be the second one be the park that Olivian is working out of.
Yeah, I
Bringing
was
food,
thinking the same
like
thing.
like you're working with like encampment advocacy groups, other heralds who've been displaced and aren't able to live in buildings like Xavier because they don't have vacuums that they can vomit their fire into each night, so they have to go out into a park.
Yep.
Yeah. Guys, you can totally pay rent. Just get more OSAP. It's great.
So what would
There
our
will
final
never be a
touchstone
problem.
be? Would it be the school that you work from?
I'm considering,
Or is that too far away?
I love the idea of a school that is physically remote in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's just this thing that's not there. So what would our third touchstone be about our community? Is there a place away from the business in the park that we meet?
I like the idea of a Heralds only speakeasy, not necessarily whether it's speakeasy
Or
or
a pub.
some other spot that only we know about, where it's not about business.
Local Herald
Yeah,
bar, maybe.
we meet underneath the loud vacuum of Charles's
The
former
basement.
in the basement of the clothing shop, and that's where we plan and talk about how we're gonna.
It's one of those bookstore / bar / coffee shop places with a
I already have to be there.
Chairs.
Oh my goodness! My support character is even more overburdened with responsibility because I'm looking after this business and my parents, but I'm also looking after our community, but I'm also looking after a growing vacuum that I have to pollinate every day. So that's why we're having to have the meetings there, because if you didn't, I'm not letting you have the meetings in my business. And if you don't meet under the vacuum, you're never going to see me, because those are the only two places I can afford to be at any time.
Also, if I'm going to be at a meeting late at night, it better be close to my place.
yeah. At least when we have the meetings late at night by the void, you can just spend the time going, yeah, no, that's really important.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I can't go out anywhere else for nightlife.
If I've shed too much, actually, the void would also help with the. You
can just grow your vines into it.
Here we go. Just
we're trading off. We're trading off.
We're going to find out that this void is not actually going into the nothing that we think it is. There is another side to it, and someone on the other side is getting really annoyed at all the fire and plants and garbage we keep throwing through it.
Well, so long as it goes to the glebe, I won't care.
All right. 3 conflicts within our community. Activism, access to healthcare, crime, body politics, racial divide, the model minority, religion, indigenous land, drug use, homelessness, wealth disparity, visibility, cult recruitment. I think homelessness is one thing we've already mentioned already, because we've got the encampment in our park.
Unhoused.
I think the wealth disparity has been kind of alluded to, because I'm running a business, I'm making money, I got resources. You've got your student loans, and you're in debt, but you're not impoverished. And
I also love debt, as it turns out, as an equity banker. It balances. The other one that struck me is like the cult recruitment. Like the idea that people are, if they're in desperate times, being attracted to the idea of like,
you are desperately trying to get me to help with this encampment, because if we don't help them, there is a cult that is going to help them, and they're not a church.
Yes.
They started as one, but they worship the old gods. They fetishize the heralds. These heralds disappear to become saints in their cult, and we don't really know what happens to them, but they're cared for, we're told.
Yes.
And this cult is doing shit to them.
And there's a big old void here to worship.
Yeah, well, and if they found out about it, we have to keep that quiet. We have to keep it from growing.
Yes.
Because if they learn about the loud vacuum next door to the fruit market, thankfully I've got a really loud air conditioner, so I can make it sound like it's part of the AC vents.
Buildings,
Yeah, but it just sounds like a turbine going at all times.
Yeah. So in terms of conflict, that one was like,
because we're a very small group. We're only 3 of us. And if in Olivia, and I think you see the writing on the wall, is if you're worried about the cult taking influence. I'm worried about my parents' business, but also this vacuum that I am also responsible for.
We're 3 people who are producing a crap ton of fiery plants and literal fire and shocking things and static electricity. It's very loud. It's very hot. People are getting static shocks off of everything within 2 kilometers of where we are, and we just need no one to see. We're very sure that we can keep this static, shocking, fire spewing, spicy peppering little collective to ourselves. I'm sure it'll work out.
Sure.
It's gonna be fine.
Unless the winds change.
Look, I just need this to stay this way just long enough for my elderly parents to not need my support anymore, because time will eventually allow me to not be responsible for them, but I have to make sure that the rest of the days that they have remaining are done in dignity. And then once they don't, then then the rest doesn't matter. So we just need to do this for another 14 years, maybe 20, because they're only in their 60s, 70s. People live to like 100, so we got like maybe 30 more years of this. And then as long as we can just keep it under wraps until then we don't have to worry about it.
Once I become a famous professor, I'll have so much money probably, I think. And, my interest payments will be fine then. It will be fine.
Once everybody has housing, that we know.
Soon. It'll be soon.
Has, It'll be fine.
It'll be done soon. It'll all be done soon.
There's one last step in this character creation. This has become a very long episode, but such as it is, we've been having fun with it. There are the 5 world playbooks. These are playbooks that are going to be passed around depending on who we interact with in our narrative. We do need to just make some very quick decisions, and I'm probably going to go more like flash round with this. So the first one is the stars. So every world book is both how they manifest in the mortal world and how they manifest with the great old ones. So the stars represent governments and corporations. For the great old ones, the stars show our insignificance in the face of all of creation. You will pick up the stars book whenever someone interacts with or gets the attention of someone in power in a government or a corporation. You will trade this away whenever you need to engage with a government or a corporate structure. So, for the stars, we need to circle 2 desires. What do the stars desire? Profit, popularity, technological advancement, brutal control, dividing minority communities, law and order, encouraging consumption.
Well, I think that's relevant to all of us. I'm going to say brutal control for one thing, because control of Heralds seems to be on the agenda pretty much any time. Information isn't really on there. I'm not sure how to, but the idea of, the stars as the academy, the stars as these extractive research is the phrase that's running on a loop in my mind, but that, and also capitalistically, people want the popular things that you have, your flowers and such.
So what if that's popularity or profit?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe just profit. Like, yes, they're doing it for altruistic knowledge and gain, but they're not.
Profit.
They're doing it because they'll make money.
Profit
from
and
that.
Control. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm also talking about how I've got, like, they want to get the Herald owned businesses out. They want to turn them into businesses. So we've got this, like, pressure coming in from the outside. So the 2 vision themes for the stars: flying through space, lost in an infinite faceless crowd, the sun is the eye of an impossible beast, you are here, all in capitals, the terrifying hunger of being so large they could eat the world and not notice, and you are an insect.
Terrifying hunger.
Terrifying hunger of being so large they could eat the world and not notice. Yep.
With our big old hole. Seems,
yeah, that seems like maybe the void is the great old one.
Yep.
It's like an egg.
Well, that's a complicated question now, isn't it? Wink.
Also, you are here.
You are here? Okay.
We are kind of trapped. We're almost claustrophobic in this one.
Yeah. It's actually a very small, because if I can't go, if I leave more than a half day anywhere, I gotta run back.
I got to run back here to the void to puke into
and the business and my parents and these flowers that keep growing on me that I have to pollinate.
You've got such normal things to come back for. You've got your parents and your business, and I'm like, I've got to run back to this magic hole to puke into.
We're all the same. We're just all the same, aren't we?
We're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's some tips on here that you can look at if you ever pick up this playbook. That have some prompts when they get active. So the next playbook is the sky. The sky is high above you, filled with faith in all the gods of humanity. In the mortal world, the sky represents existing religion and structures and religious communities. As the great old ones, the sky rends the fabric of space and time to reveal them as illusion. So 2 desires of the sky: orthodoxy, devotion, conformity, family, unity, charity.
Conformity is definitely a bugaboo.
Yeah, and maybe also devotion in the same way.
I definitely see devotion as coming up in Xavier's story in ways that I have not yet explained.
There seems to be a theme of the Heralds will be okay if they submit to these external controls. Right. They will be cared
Just be
for.
Loyal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
be loyal long
yourself.
enough and you will get care.
Yeah. And that care might involve us, like, burying you in cement deep under the ground so that you can't hurt yourself and those around you.
Sometimes care feels like cement.
2 vision themes for the sky. A multitude of past yous being picked off by a terrible unseen force. Form is an illusion and all flesh blends together. Existence is a single point in space, and you move without moving. You are a puppet directed by an alien hand. People objects begin disappearing around you when you need them most. You begin to fall into an ever-expanding void, only to enter it and fall again.
Look, too close.
I read these a while ago. It's surprising how easily we fell into some of them.
So that last one?
Yeah.
An ever-expanding void, only to enter it and fall again? I mean, obviously, I think we would all be dreaming about the loud vacuum that lives next door.
Yep. Also, possibly existence is a single point in space, because we are... I know this game is partly about mapping out the community, but our community is so hyper-focused on this one thing.
Yeah, it just happened through consequence. That's our community is just like we're like a hostage. We're under house arrest
because we go away and we come back. We go away and we come back. It averages out to being
we're just like on a Pac-Man screen. You go off one end, you just end up back on the same screen again. The next world page. So you will pick up the sky page whenever someone engages with a religious or faith-based community in a meaningful way. And you will trade it away whenever you need to engage with a religious or faith-based community or power structure. Yeah, so when someone engages in a meaningful way, you'll pick this page up. You will trade it away when you need to engage with a religious or faith-based community or power structure. So like these might not come into play when we're playing, depending on who we interact with, but we'll keep those pick up when prompts kind of on hand. The sea is our third world. There are no individuals in the sea. Every drop of water is the same as every other drop of water. In the mortal world, the sea represents the power of the media, how humans consume it, and how it encourages conformity. As the great old ones, the sea pulls you down into dark and impossible alien worlds. The desires of the sea. Profit, to divide marginalized groups, to use heralds as wedge issues, to use heralds when they are marketable, or to encourage conformity. So this is a little different from the last one with religion, because this is all about entertainment and consumption, media, the news. So what are the desires of the sea here?
I feel like the wedge and marketable are the two that haven't been touched upon already. Mm-hmm. Like we already have profit, we already have conformity.
Well, we're seeing through the nerds' writings and people like the vandalism, the debate happening on Herald-owned businesses, the changes that are going on just in our local, very micro local street, the encampment, the cult, having to care for these folks. There's lots of like, these used to be public spaces and now they're Herald tent cities. But also, look, some people can run businesses and they can make a money doing it. I hear one person even grows plants out of their hands and runs a flower shop.
The idea of using heralds when they're marketable definitely speaks to what I'm imagining.
Not all powers have to be bad. Some powers could feed the poor.
And we should focus on those ones. Only those ones matter. The other ones, not as important.
Don't worry about them. We'll find a cure for that.
Bad. It'll make people feel bad. That's no good.
2 vision themes for the sea. Drowning in an endless dark sea, surrounded by impossible limbs, a terrible presence rising from below ready to devour, sunken cities of impossible angles not touched by human hands, a world that becomes more alien as you sink into it, or wandering through cities broken and drowned by rising tides. That last one resonates with Harlow.
Yeah.
Because that's I think what Harlow's most worried about, is that the future is where everything's just going to get eaten by this vacuum that lives next door.
Mm-hmm. And wandering through a city that's been broken by some tides of, tides can be metaphorical in a lot of ways.
No, this is literal climate change. There's
literal
nothing more
climate
to read
change
into
only. Literal only. But it can be a lot of different sorts of things. The tides of popularity. You've talked about gentrification a little bit already, but the idea of neighborhoods getting overblown completely by.
Will
the
that also
shifting
be
forces around
a
them.
world that becomes more alien as you sink into it with that same kind of transformation and gentrification? Like this
Yeah,
place
I
will
like
be
that one.
recognizable if the store gets turned into a boutique hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one as well.
And you're not in that boutique world anymore because everything about you
Yes.
is kind of shaved off at that point.
Yeah.
Buffed out.
Or not
Yeah.
shaved off.
Or thrown into a coffee grinder and turned into confetti
yeah.
and thrown into the eyes of our enemies.
Party City.
It's
You
funny
will
how
pick up-
metaphors collide with actual realities when you do these powers.
Oh boy. You will pick up the C whenever you want to talk about how heralds are shown in the media. You will trade it away whenever you take a stand or actively engage with that portrayal.
Got it.
When you conform.
2 more, and then we're done this very long episode.
Oh my gosh.
The Earth is old, and it remembers everything that it has been or could have been. In the mortal world, the Earth represents humans as groups rather than institutions, and how those groups interact. Police may be agents of the stars, but the neighborhood watch is part of the Earth. The Catholic Church is represented by the sky, but homeless shelters would be represented by the Earth. The media might shape views through the sea, but the local homeowners association shaped by the Earth. Right? So the Earth is literally the grassroots. And while we're interacting with like this cult that would be part of the sky, and the news media, the AM talk radio shows that would be represented through the sea, and then also the pressure for this boutique hotel and all that stuff, that would kind of be part of the stars, this like corporate government legislative pressure.
Promote.
Everything else, a lot of like the Earth is the encampment group. The Earth is even really like what you're writing, the nerd of a little bit of that. So as the great old ones, the Earth brings visions of the world's secret past. Its visions show the strata of histories that could have been, ruins and cities built by species which came before humanity. The desires of the Earth, to be left in peace, order, prosperity, beauty, rugged individuality, or the status quo.
I feel like prosperity in the positive turn as opposed to the profit version.
Yeah.
Enough food for everyone.
Enough housing, enough.
Enough for people.
Yeah. And also kind of like to be left in peace, not left alone, but left to be
We
who
have
you
this
are.
street, we have this business, we have this park. Just let us have this.
Yes.
We could almost get by without interference.
Right.
Yeah.
We would
are-
like to have a bit more prosperity, but if we were left to ourselves, maybe it could work.
Yeah, we don't really know exactly what we are or what we're turning into. But if you leave us alone, that's going to make things a lot easier. Because we need to have that space to find out. The visions of the Earth. Dirt and stone surround you as you sink into the endless ground. The ground trembles as terrible things rise from beneath. The waking world is dotted with remnants of civilizations that never were. Huddling in a cave while something enormous and horrible moves outside. The influence of the great old ones on historical events. I think we're literally huddling in a cave already, aren't we?
That definitely called to me.
Basements. Basement dwellers unite.
Also, the waking world dotted with remnants. Like the remnants for me are the like of who we used to be, but also like who we're becoming is leaving behind who we were.
We're already kind of surrounded by ruins and reminders and, you know, my parents that are staying upstairs like Charlie Bucket's parents.
Yeah.
They're just bedridden, right? And they're just up there and Harlow just needs to keep caring for them.
Harlow, have you tried chocolate to see if they'll come out of bed?
They represent an old life, though, and a life that is very rapidly crumbling away, mostly because of the giant loud vacuum that lives next door. You will pick up the earth when someone is engaging with an organized, though not official, group of regular people in a major way. Examples: putting a Herald rights or human rights sign on your lawn, revealing your mutations at a fancy restaurant. You will trade this away when you are the one doing the engaging, even if not directly or intentionally.
Would you like pepper on that? No, I have my own.
Finally, the last world card is the Shadows. The Shadows hide much. They open the door to other worlds just beyond the veil. In the Shadows, those other worlds hunger. In the mortal world, the Shadows represent hidden parts of society, occult societies, cults, criminals, and other heralds outside the local community. As the great old ones, the Shadows show you what is lurking beyond. Mundane shadows and darkness become filled with monsters. Impossible shapes flit the corner of your vision, and unrelated things take on occult connections. The desires of the Shadows. Two of these. Alternative community, profit, transcendence, forbidden knowledge, revenge, or power. I think the alternative community has already presented itself with this cult that is taking people away from the encampment, and they're taking them out of the city, they're taking them underground, or they're going into a place that people don't return from. And they have their acolytes moving amongst and recruiting people from the camp. And people just give up and they go, yep, I'm signing up for Cthulhu Scientology and I'm leaving. And
I feel like with that cult that there's that the call to power rings true. Like for the Herald, it's like they feel like they're being empowered even though they're not, but the cult itself is gaining in power. Mm. Does that ring true for you?
Alternative community and power then.
Definitely.
The visions of the Shadows. Two of these. The Shadows are full of monsters, or dark hallways lengthen and lead into hideous maws, where everything is connected and holds supernatural significance. The Shadows are alive and hungering. Darkness is alive and it knows you. Running through unfamiliar streets pursued by an all-seeing, all-devouring force.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I guess that last one then.
Yeah. All seeing, all devouring. That would be the void.
Because if I don't keep repairing the vacuum, it will just grow and grow and grow and grow and chase us until it eats the planet, right? But maybe also everything is connected and holds supernatural significance. Our powers have oddly synergized despite being completely random.
Yeah.
And the three of us being, yes, a very small, tightly knit community, we do almost form a closed circuit. Mm-hmm. And that feels oddly comforting.
Yeah, I think so.
You will pick up the shadow page whenever somebody goes to a shadows group for aid or engages with their agendas. You will trade it away when you go to the shadows for help, belonging, or to solve a problem. There are likely resources that this cult can help us with that we can never achieve on our own. And if we ever go to them, this shadow page is going to come into play and you'll get access to those stuff. So that's it. That's the setup for Dear Great Cthulhu. Please stop giving me superpowers.
Yay!
It's much more than just us meeting in a support group once a week to talk about our powers. It is also that, but it's also us living together in this community that we are very much stuck in now. I at least am. You can all leave, but if I leave, we all die. So that feels like the support character in a nutshell, doesn't it? Oh, my goodness. Final thoughts before we play our first story episode in the next episode. How are you feeling? How are you feeling, Velvet?
I'm feeling energized by this. It's cathartic in some ways. It has the language that's being used. The horror is definitely coming true. coming through, but it's also in our reality coming true. So it is nice to see, playing as deep as you would like.
Yeah.
Like as Euan said at the top, like some of these, it's like, whoa, am I feeling joy from this in this moment? And
if you're not laughing, you're crying.
Maybe both at the same time. Both can be true.
Yes.
So, and in terms of my superpower, I'm poison ivy, but very bespoke.
That makes sense.
Euan?
I've got the vibe that I'm quite engaged with this world we've made. Pretty blown away by the interconnectedness of it all that we've managed to do, partly by accident, partly through the collective subconscious, like you've been saying. And I think it'll be quite interesting. Also feeling quite at ease with this. I definitely think this is a character I know where to go with. Got a lot of fruitful ideas. And I'm not even the one who grows flowers. Wow.
I'm always wary with games that are short in their rules, more, especially story-focused games, because part of me feel there's a amount of hand-holding I like to have when I'm playing tabletop games, where if I don't feel particularly clever this day, I can lean on the game a little bit more and it will help carry me through. And this one is kind of helping with that. There's just enough prompts and enough things going on that charge you into other conflicts and other places that despite the fact that there's going to be no dice rolling, it's just going to be telling a story. I'm always, because it hasn't happened yet, so I'm always worried of like, oh, is this going to be any good? Is this going to be any fun? I'm always a little worried, and I'm just gonna tamp that down and lean into to Harlow and their problems and see if I can help the two of you out, but I really can't. I'm very busy. I've got a lot on my plate right now, and it's getting into the colder months, so it's getting a little harder to get fresh food delivered. Supply chains are being disrupted because we're not the only heralds in the world. So there's other stuff going on around us. There's a whole park full of them, and I got to look after my own. I got to look after my own house first, and at least I feel like I got a lot of those prompts that I can fall into. So, yeah.
I think all of us being as interconnected in our reality doesn't stop us from exploring stories that are out there and how we're contending and having to bring those back to this trio. I think from gameplay, for me, that's exciting, is we get our moments to tell our story, we get our collaboration, and then we also have to contend with stop growing stuff over everything, or stop avoiding reality, or like whatever our individual issues are, we can also explore the inner as well as the outer.
Definitely.
And then as new superpowers get developed, it's like new complications.
Yeah, the next time we have to roll for a superpower, everything's going to go out the window.
Completely.
Well, we'll find out what goes out the window next week on our next episode. For now, I have been your support character, Harlow of the Fruit Market, Justin Ecock, and I have been joined by my two other heralds of this community, the organizer Olivian.
I am Velvet Duke.
And the nerd Xavier.
And I'm Euan. Hi.
We'll return back next week with the next episode as we continue to play Dear Great Cthulhu. Please stop giving me superpowers. And if you'd like to know more about this game and where it came from, there's, of course, links in the show notes to Darla's itch.io page, where you can learn more about this particular book and also Zine Quest 3 that it was designed in, and the actual system and all that kind of stuff. So it's really go check it out. And until that time, when we are back at this table as heralds of the great old ones, thank you for listening. Be good to each other. Bye.
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 The Terrible Warriors is made possible by listeners just like you who've decided to support us through Patreon at patreon.com/terriblewarriors. Next week, we'll begin our actual play of Darla Burrow's Dear Great Cthulhu, Please Stop Giving Me Superpowers. Our shopkeeper Harlow is doing all he can to keep his business in operation, his ailing mother alive, and the growing void that lives next door that will devour us all satiated for another day. Our student Xavier is trying to navigate a world of academia that has no problems exploiting and abusing them, while also learning about the nature of the Heralds and finding themselves in the center of this new burgeoning community. And our organizer Olivian is trying their best to balance the needs of their community with the needs of the Heralds that will follow them next. Will they be able to set the foundations for a world that welcomes and supports them? Or will it crumble around them and devour the Herald community before it has a chance to thrive? To learn more about Dear Grey Cthulhu, visit basicandbizarre.itch.io. The full link is in the show notes, and you can follow Darla Burrow on Twitter at basicnbizarre. Your terrible warriors today have been Velvet Duke, Euan, and myself, Justin Ecock. Editing and production is also by me. Our theme music is by Epic Game Music. And we will return next week when we will face what the old ones have in store for us. Right here on the Terrible Warriors.